Okay, so this is an attempted telling of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So once upon a time, there was this little girl named Goldilocks, and she was a bit of a brat. And one day she has a fight with her mother and heads off into the woods. So she's wandering through the woods and she happens upon this little gingerbread-esque cabin. And being the nosy little girl that she is, she goes and knocks on the door, doesn't hear anybody in there. So she tries the doorknob. And the door swings wide open. She goes inside, kind of looks around, and then looks into the kitchen and sees on the counter 3 bowls of food just left there as if for her. So she goes to the first bowl. And the first bowl is steaming and piping hot, and she picks up a spoon and she takes a big mouthful and she goes, ah, and spits it out and says, oh, this is too hot, I just burned my mouth. So she slides that bowl away, and then she grabs the medium-sized bowl and she takes the spoon and she takes a big mouthful and whoa, this is far too cold, can't eat that. So she slides that away, and then she goes and she sees this perfect Goldilocks sized bowl, and she picks up the spoon and she takes a bite and she goes, oh, this porridge is just right, and she gobbles the whole thing up. So after she's eaten, she's feeling a little fatigued. She goes and she looks in the living room, and there in the living room are 3 chairs, and she goes to the biggest one first and she sits down in it and she's like, oh, this chair is way too hard. So she gets up and goes to the medium-sized chair and she sits in that one and she goes, oh, this chair is way too hard too. And then she goes and she sees this beautiful carved perfect little chair, and she sits in it and she nestles right down and she's like, oh, this chair is just right. But it wasn't just right. And all of a sudden she can hear this cracking sound around her, and the chair breaks into a million pieces. So she kind of looks around a little embarrassed, but there's nobody to see her. So she gets up, she dusts herself off. She's still feeling tired, so she heads upstairs, looks around, and sees this bedroom. And in the bedroom are 3 beds. And she goes to the biggest one first, because we all like a big bed. And she goes into it, and she gets into it, and she goes, oh, ooh, this bed is too hard. No. And she gets up, she goes to the medium-sized bed, and this bed is plush and pink and fluffy and lots of pillows, and she nestles into it, and she just like sinks down into the bed, and she's like, oh, way too soft, can't sleep there. And then she sees this perfect little sleigh bed, as if it was made just for her. And she goes and she gets under the blankets and she nestles in and she's like, oh, this bed is just right, and promptly falls asleep. So while Goldilocks is sleeping, the 3 bears come home. And they walk up to the house and they see that the door is wide open, which makes them grumpy already because there's obviously an intruder in the house. They go in and they see the wreck that is their kitchen. One bowl has been eaten out of, another bowl has been eaten out of, and then poor baby bear's bowl is completely empty. They turn in the living room and they see that somebody's been messing around in there, and Papa Bear goes, somebody's been sitting in my chair. And Mama Bear goes, well, somebody's been sitting in my chair. And then Baby Bear looks and he goes, somebody's been sitting in my chair and they broke it. So now the bears are really not feeling so good. So they use their noses, they go upstairs, they can smell somebody's in the house, and they look into the bedroom, and the whole bedroom's disheveled. Somebody's ripped the blankets off all the beds. Papa Bear goes, somebody's been sleeping in my bed. Mama Bear goes, somebody's been sleeping in my bed. And then Baby Bear looks at his beautiful sleigh bed and he says, somebody's been sleeping in my bed and she's still there. And so the bears crowd around Baby Bear's bed and look down, and they're growling at her. And Baby Bear reaches out a claw and pokes Goldilocks in the arm, and Goldilocks' eyes spring open. She looks up and she sees all of these teeth and snouts and ears looking down at her in these big bear eyes, and she promptly screams, jumps out of bed, and runs out of the house, and the bears never see Goldilocks again. So there you go, Goldilocks and the 3 bears. I'm very interested in working with Acadia Rep. It would probably be on a part-time basis, as I have another job that I do. I'm a pastry chef when I'm not performing. And so I'd be interested in 1 or 2 shows, depending on the schedule. Definitely interested in the Agatha Christie show at the end of the summer. And we can go into more details about that, but I really look forward to meeting you guys and working with Acadia Rep. So thank you very much.